It's based off a lot of things, so it's a routine that I've put together from a lot of information from a lot of different people over a lot of years. I run before the game to get warm, and so I would go do some running before the game before I played catch. So that's kind of what started me like trying to get loose, get ready to play catch instead of using catch to get ready to play. So it started with that, and then I knew Alan Jaeger, and he taught me about long toss, and so that kind of became part of my routine. So many different people that I met over the course of my career that I took this little piece and that little piece and put it together. But basically, I try to get my body fully ready to throw before I throw, so I don't hurt something because I'm not warmed up or whatever. I don't like the word change necessarily, because change generally comes with like a negative connotation in a way. Because you change something that's going to be different or bad, or the old way wasn't good or something like that. I like to think of it more as like improving and high grading routines. And running definitely has a place. It's just we can start understanding what does that accomplish, what place does it really have, and what types of running for different types of pitchers, and what days you should run on, and like if your body is tired after a start and you're worn down, maybe you didn't sleep well last night, you threw a lot of pitches, you're sore, it's probably not the best day to run sprints because your body's already worn down. But maybe the day before your start and you're like ready to go, you can run sprints, and then you can get a training effect from that. So I see it changing in what it, like the type of running that's being done, but running is still a big part of my routine, and but we understand like what you get from it. So you want to elevate your heart rate so that you can recover better. So when you're in the game and your heart rate goes up in a big situation, that you can handle that and your body doesn't overheat or get lightheaded or something like that, But when you do that is important so that you can be prepared on the fifth day to be at your best. So I think it's good. I think that as we understand and we're able to track more of this stuff and use data more, we can identify where it's best suited. And I look at all these things as like tools. It's like you have a hammer and you have a wrench, and you would not use a wrench to hammer in a nail, but you would use a hammer to unscrew something, And it's just, we have all these tools: weightlifting, weighted balls, long toss, running, all these different things, and you just want to use the tool for the right task. My dad wasn't like super into baseball until I started getting into baseball, because I was interested in it. So he took an interest in what his kid was interested in. And at that time, in the mid-90s, like pitchers were still throwing complete games. He knew baseball players from before that, and so when he was teaching me, like, oh yeah, well I remember watching this guy play or that guy play in a limited sense, and guys were throwing complete games, and it was 300 wins was still the benchmark, and complete games and whatnot. And so that's kind of the era of baseball that I grew up loving, and so that's what I've always looked at myself as being. Like, I want to go out there and I want to pitch the entire game. On my start day, like, it's me against them, and I want to win. And in order for me to feel like I've really won, like, I have to pitch the whole thing. Otherwise, I feel incomplete about it. I want to throw a lot of pitches. I want to throw a lot of games and pitch a long time. And that's just. I'm really big into data, and I know the data says that a lot of times it's not beneficial for a starter to go the whole game, and it's a better strategy for relievers to pitch. But I still, as a competitor, as an athlete, I want to be out there in the ninth inning, like, and win the game. And I want to throw a lot. I want to play. I love playing. And I want to pitch every fourth day, like guys back then did. But yeah, it's just that's the era of baseball that I grew up loving. I train myself not to. I throw a lot, and I tend to get stronger. My performance gets better once my pitch count gets in like the 80 to 90 range. I generally get better and feel more comfortable and stuff. There's very few games that I can remember where I felt physically exhausted afterwards. Most times I feel good. Like I can keep going. Probably for the longest time it was Barry Zito. I was a big Oakland A's fan. He had a big curveball, and I liked the curveball. And then when Tim Lincecum came into the league, it was Tim, because he was a short righty like I was, and he threw 100 and struck everybody out, and no one had seen stuff like that before. It was just so exciting to watch. He came from the Pac-12. I was in a Pac-12 school. He had records in college that I wanted to go break, and it was like I still am. It's just such an exciting time and such an exciting player to watch. I was just a big fan. When I was 11 or 12, I got linked up with Alan Jaeger of Jaeger Sports, and he talked about just kind of letting the body be loose and free, and just throwing as far as you can with but still hitting your partner in the chest, and how this could build arm strength and it could keep you healthy. And at that time, I didn't throw very hard. I was undersized. I was smaller than most of the kids, and so it really resonated with me. Like, oh, this is a way I can get better. This is a way I can compete with the kids that are bigger than me. So I started doing it, and then I found ways to, like, okay, I'll throw long but easy, and it's kind of like a recovery day, but then I'll throw long and hard, and I can use that to, like, try to throw harder. And so there's a lot of different ways to kind of utilize the same technique. And then my dad had encouraged me to get loose and throw a lot before the game, so I was ready to go, and then Alan said the same thing, and so that just became part of my routine. And then it still is. So before the game, like you said, I'd throw far, and I long toss 3 out of every 5 days. That's just part of my routine. But I think it's been really helpful in keeping me healthy, because I throw low intensity but a high volume, and so my body moves more efficiently to handle that volume, to not get sore and whatnot. And over the years, I think it's really helped my delivery. I mean, on a dedicated program since I was 12, so 16 years now. But even before that, my dad and I would go out to the ball field. He would hit me like short ground balls, so I would plant my feet, and I would just work on fielding with my glove, not moving my feet. And then he would put me back at shortstop, and I'd have to run and play shortstop and make athletic throws. And then he'd put me in the outfield and hit me fly balls. And so that was kind of like the early progression of long toss. So I'd go from throwing short to medium to long, and so it's really been something I've done my whole life. Yeah, many times. But I think it's so individualized. If you're not used to throwing that far, then throwing that far might be dangerous. But I'm trying to think of like a good example, like a weightlifter. If a 10-year-old kid walked in a weight room and was going to squat 300 pounds, that would be very dangerous for him. He'd be at injury risk. But if I walk in a weight room and I'm going to squat 300 pounds, that's fairly normal for me. I've built up the ability to do that. So unless I just completely overdo it, and squat too many reps and too many days in a row, like, it's fairly safe for me. But for a 10-year-old kid, it's not, because he doesn't have the same history and the same volume that he's built up and the same strength. So I think it's the same thing with throwing. I'm used to throwing like that, so it's just normal for me. I'll throw the ball 300 feet and it's not a big deal. It's just what I do. But for other people who might not do that, they have to build into it slowly. Where I've taken 16 years to build into it, so it's just, I'm accustomed to it now. I'm Trevor Bauer, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.